The story begins with a flashback set on the Wind River Indian Reservation on a cold Wyoming winter night. A teenage Native American girl is seen running on her bare feet, crying, then turning to face her back, as if she is being pursued. The next scene introduces our main protagonist, Corey Lambert, who works for the Fish and Wildlife Department as a hunter for predators such as wolves and lions in the mountainous area of Wyoming. After hunting wolves that morning, he headed to his ex-wife's house to pick up his son so he could see his grandparents on the Indian reservation. His ex-wife informs him that she will be accepting a position in Jackson, to which Corey agrees on as his son may have a better life there. She also reminds Corey that she would never want to stay in Pinnedale, which was clearly filled with painful memories of their late daughter Emily. Corey's son is warmly welcomed by his grandfather Dan. Dan then talks with Corey about a predator who slaughtered a family of cows. He follows the trail to find the predator, but comes across a blood-splattered track. He was able to follow the tracks easily because he is an expert at hunting. He suspects something terrible has happened, so he pulls out his gun. He discovers a young woman's frozen, lifeless body submerged in the snow, with a severe cut on her forehead and frostbitten feet. He calls the reservation tribal police, and Chief Officer Ben arrives at his grandparents' house. They were unable to transfer the body because they had to wait for the FBI to conduct an initial investigation, as well as because of the severe winter storm. Though it was difficult to admit, Corey was certain it was Natalie Henson's body. Natalie was his late daughter's best friend, and it appears that she died in the same way as Emily. FBI agent Jane Banner comes and requests that Corey take her to the crime site right away. The crime scene was 5 miles away, and Jane was unlikely to make it through the winter storm because she wasn't clothed adequately. Corey asks Jane over to put on some suitable clothing, while Ben expresses his amusement at the FBI sending Jane to assist them with this crime. Corey's mother-in-law lets Jane borrow Emily's winter clothes, which reminds Corey of Emily wearing them. When they got to the crime scene, the storm had already passed, so Jane started her initial investigation. When Jane notices blood in Natalie's pants, she asks Ben to get a rape kit and reports her death as a homicide. When Jane asks Corey if he knows where Natalie is running from, he mentions Sam Littlefeather, a young drug addict who lives nearby, as well as a drill site with a worker's trailer that was closed to the winter. Corey demonstrates the tracks Natalie took. He describes how easily the lungs can fill up with blood when exposed to these extreme weather conditions. Jane becomes curious as to why Corey is so interested in this incident, so he asks Corey to assist her in locating the suspect since he is also familiar with the area. The next morning, Police Chief Officer Ben and FBI agent Jane went to visit Randy, the medical examiner who will do Natalie Henson's autopsy report. According to the report, she was raped by someone or more than one person. Jane gets furious when Randy refuses to classify Natalie's death as a homicide since she died of a lung hemorrhage. Ben persuades Jane that they are all on the same team and that they all know it was murder but can't list it due to technicalities. Ben and Jane then went to Natalie's parents and asked them why they hadn't gone looking for their daughter when she went missing that night. Martin, Natalie's father, claimed that he assumed Natalie was with her boyfriend and that she was 18 and could be on her own. Jane went looking for Natalie's mother, Annie, who she horrifyingly finds cutting herself in the room because she is skeptical of Martin's explanation. She hastily exits the room and apologizes to the family, who appear to be in deep mourning over their daughter's death. Corey pays Martin a visit and has a serious chat with him since he understands the pain of losing a daughter. He persuades him to remain strong for his son, but Martin informs him that they lost their son to drugs and suspects that they had something to do with it. He then orders Corey to do everything it takes to inflict suffering, including murdering the suspect once he discovers who it is. Because Martin's son, Chip, is staying with Sam Littlefeather and the gang, they head to their trailer. Sam opens the door and answers Ben and Jane's queries while high. Sam pepper sprayed Ben and Jane, blinding them for a minute. Corey captured Chip and the other guy who was trying to escape through the back door. Jane regains consciousness and enters the trailer to find Sam. Sam fires at her, but she is able to counterattack and murders him through multiple gunshots. They proceeded to question Chip about her sister and whether their group was responsible for her death. Chip clearly didn't know about it and was devastated when he found out she was dead and blamed her lover, whom he didn't name. Corey informs Jane that the key to locating Natalie's boyfriend, who may be the suspect, is to follow the sled tracks they observed going up the mountain because there are no signs of it going down. When they reached the summit, they discovered a naked man's body buried in the snow and being eaten by birds. Back at the arresting site, Corey tries to persuade Chip to speak up and reveal the identity of Natalie's boyfriend. He tries to empathize with Chip's situation calmly, but when Chip mentions Corey's family, specifically his late daughter, he smashes him down and lectures him about his life choices. Chip then reveals that he met Natalie's boyfriend, Matt, who was around Corey's age. He is a security guard at the drill location. He then informs Ben and Jane of the information. They're going to the rig tomorrow, but Corey will be looking for clues up the mountain, so he refuses to accompany them. Jane pays a visit to Corey's house to share additional information regarding Matt. He then invites Jane over for drinks at his home. He informs Jane what happened to Emily when he notices her staring at Emily's pictures. While working in Pennydale, he persuaded his wife to stay in a motel while her 16-year-old daughter Emily babysat Casey, who was just 5 at the time. They later learned from Natalie, Emily's best friend, that she went missing after a party at their house. Emily's body was discovered at the Wind River Indian Reservation, near where Natalie was discovered. Corey is taken away by his emotions since he is still confused about what happened. Jane now realizes why Corey was assisting Natalie's case since it was personal to him. Jane, along with Ben and the rest of the tribal police, heads to the rig, while Corey explores the mountain in search of more proof. Ben and Jane are greeted at the rig by the lead security contractor, Kurt, so Jane asks him where Matt is. They said that since Matt left with his girlfriend, they have been searching for him as well. Jane discovers scars on Kurt's face, as well as the other security guy, which they claim are a result of their profession. Meanwhile, Corey notices the slug tracks and follows them, only to discover that they are coming from the rig. He then hurries down the mountain to radio Ben about what he discovered, but cannot reach him. Jane and the team walk to Matt's trailer, but Jane becomes confused as to how Kurt knew about Natalie, given they didn't radio her name when they found her. They kept going, but things got heated when one of the tribal police feared that the security personnel were flanking them. Both parties pulled firearms until Jane calmed things down and asked the security personnel to take them to Matt's trailer. When they arrive at Matt's trailer, Jane knocks on the door, and a flashback reveals what truly happened to Natalie. Natalie knocks on Matt's trailer door one night to surprise him, and they then engage in an intimate action. They discuss under their sheets about which city they wish to visit after they leave the town. While they were talking, Matt's coworkers, who were also staying in the same trailer, came in. They were all drunk, especially Pete. Pete is so intoxicated that he teases Matt and Natalie about looking beneath the blankets, especially at Natalie's body. Matt gets mad and violently kicks Pete out of bed. The rest of the workers went after Matt, grabbing him and punching him, knocking him out. Natalie is knocked out, leaving her unconscious. She awakens to see Pete raping her. Matt breaks free from the other guys in order to grab Pete and fight the other guys again. He gives Natalie a signal to run away, which evidently leads to her death. The flashback ends, and Jane knocks on the door again, this time shouting FBI. Corey radios Ben once more, and this time he is able to reach and warn him. Ben tells Jane to get away from the door, but it's too late. A deafening gunshot pierces Jane's chest, knocking her down. Fortunately, she was wearing her vest and was only slightly injured as a result of it. At that point, both sides engage in a crossfire that murders Ben and all of the tribal police officers while leaving some security workers alive. Kurt interrupts Jane's attempt to reload her gun. Bullets start flying around, murdering Kurt and the rest of the security guards. As it turns out, the bullets came from Corey. Pete and the other security worker try to figure out where the gunshots originated from inside the trailer. Corey shoots the second security worker, while Pete escapes using the back window. Jane was able to shoot him, but because Pete was wearing a vest, he continued to run away. Corey helps care for Jane's injuries, but she tells him to go after Pete. Pete was able to run for a few meters, but Corey pursues him and slams him in the face with a shotgun. Pete wakes up at the top of the mountain on a sunny morning, his boots gone and his toes frostbitten. Corey agrees to let him go on the condition that he confess to his crime. Pete then admits to raping Natalie and murdering Matt. He unties him and informs him he's free to go as a result of his confession. Pete is perplexed since he appears to have nowhere to go. Corey then tells him he wants him to run barefoot, as Natalie did. Natalie ran 6 miles barefoot, but Corey doubted Pete could make it 600 feet. He begins to run, and within a few feet, he begins to develop a cold in his lungs, exactly like Natalie did. Corey abandons him on the mountain. Corey then pays a visit to Jane in the hospital, and it's clear that what happened hasn't entirely registered in Jane's mind. She sobs as she tells Corey that Natalie ran 6 miles barefoot to save her life, a great fighter. The closing scene takes us to the Hensons' home, when Corey pays Natalie's parents a visit. He searches for Martin and spots him outside with his death face paint on. He sends news that all of the men responsible for Natalie's murder have gotten what they deserve, especially Pete. Martin was on the verge of giving up when he realized Ship still needed them. Before picking him up, he asks Corey to sit with him momentarily while he misses Natalie. Based on facts, this film conveys the concept that statistics exist for every category of missing people except Native American women. Natalie and Emily's cases are just a few of them, but no one knows how many more are missing. That's it for today's recap. Give this video a like and subscribe for more exciting recaps. See you next time.